and welcome to Jeff Walker Books discussion. Today I'm talking about my short stories and of my coming novel of Professor Darkk and the Shadow. The Burning Fire Rises is the name of the book I was working on. And I say was in a past tense just because I haven't been on it for a long time. But I did get to a halfway point, and I've gotten a little behind in writing that book, but I was thinking of splitting it into a two-parter, mainly because I want to get the story out there, and I know that it would be better just to complete the entire book in its entirety. But I need to break it up because first off, it's really huge to write this, and it was a daunting task to begin with, and I didn't want to do it like that. But I just wanted to get the story out there because the years are getting on. I haven't really produced anything since 2018 or 2017 from them. And I really want to get on to some other stories. And as much as some of the people that have read the books or the audios were going on about there should be a full novel, and there should be, but at the same time, it's too much for these characters. It's too much for me to write about these characters. They do better as novellas, to be honest with you, or short stories, but more so novellas. That's where they should be. And I guess that writing that as a novel in its entirety is hard to focus on for me because I have other books that I have to get on, and to concentrate on one book in its entirety is hard. I did The Jungle Planet, which was taking up a lot of my time, but I did get it done. Now that's the problem. I get energetic about some books more than others. Professor Darkk and the Shadow, I wrote a series of short stories. I put them in a collective book, which are available now. That's book 0, the introduction to the characters, and then this book would be moving into the mainstay of the book, of book 1. I committed to this, and I regret committing to this, but the story is there, and I have to get it out of my head, and so that in order for those characters to move on to the next stage of the series, and I think the sooner I get it out, the better. And if I have to split it up, I have to split it up. There's just no way around it, and I know people don't like cliffhangers, and I know that it's really not a good thing to do, but I gotta do it. It's just, I have to split up the book. And I think I'll mention this in the book too, that I had to split it up because it was just too much for me to work on. And like I said, I've got a half a book, and then the other half will come, and then down the line I'll just put them together like I did Outer Red. Outer Red I did in parts. Outer Red I did in like 4 parts. Luckily, only The Burning Fire Rises will be in 2 parts. So that's I will guarantee that there are only 2 parts to this book because I have some other novels I want to work on. More Professor Darkk and the Shadow novellas, not books, novellas, but they are books. Novellas are books too. But I mean, it's a shorter thing I can deal with. And that's the problem. I said, usually I do a lot of novellas and a lot of short stories. And there's been only a handful of books I've written. I've written Your Service is Required. I've written The Jungle Planet. And to extent, The Massive Planet was a book. but a shorter book at that. And I understand people's gripes about it being too short, but at the same time, it is a complete novel in itself. So I've done about 3 full books, um, whereas the other ones are collective stories or short stories are thrown up. And like I said, short stories are easier to do for me just because they're quick. I can get them out there. I did that one for The Arrow Through Space. And right now I'm trying to do a series of short stories or short um, novella things with The Road to Nowhere, um, which is a time traveling kind of paradoxal kind of story about a boy who's just wakes up on the road after having a bachelor party, and he's just uh, totally lost. And when he comes, the road that he's on is actually some sort of gateway to time and space, and he ends up in the Old West, and he meets somebody that explains what happens now. So, um, and that's a launching thing for that story. Um, I was ambitious making that one as well, but I'm going to try to push. Now, what's going on with the Burning Fire Rises? Well, Professor Darkk and Miss Shadow need an introduction. They need new characters to be with. So I've created new characters to be with. One of them is Mathers. He's a FBI special agent dealing with the paranormal and stuff like that, and he gets introduced to Darkk and Shadow and gets sucked into their unknown world, kind of like thing. And so he goes with them to find this man that's just killing people in a strange, spontaneous combustion kind of way. Hence the reason for the burning fire rises. But there's another meaning in the word, and you'll have to find that out in the book. But I just wanted this to get the ball rolling and get people interested in Professor Darkk and Miss Shadow. People want to know if he's going to be, they're going to like talk about their origins in here. The reason why I don't mention origins is because it says it in the title, The Mysterious World of Professor Darkk and Miss Shadow. I'm not going to delve too much into their histories right away because I like characters that you don't explain right away, that you have to take time to invest in and have to get a grasp of where they're going to go. And slowly but surely they will get their origins bit by bit. Especially Professor Darkk. He's going to be a long explanation. And I don't like it when people want me to rush the origins so they can get I don't understand that. If you want to understand the character's origins, follow the books. And that's the problem. Everybody wants it right away. So they and you can't. You just can't. With Professor Darkk, you have to run its course through the series of books that I'm trying to create. And it will touch on this stuff. It's going to touch on some origins, especially Miss Shadow. So if anyone's fans of Miss Shadow and want to know more about what her story is, it's coming. It will come in increments as well. And they kind of touch on hints of it in the book. But I think people will see more of their world and what they are as we step into it. But that's my view. I have no choice but to release it half and half because it's just a daunting task, and I don't have the time to focus on that one book. I mean, I've got like half of it done, and I'll do another half later. It's just how it's going to be because the more I put it off, the less anyone's going to be interested in the characters or the story. And I did want to make this an ongoing series of books. Originally, I was going to put it on Kindle Vella, but they don't have it in Canada. Somebody said you could put it on Wattpad, but the monetization thing, I don't get it. Especially Royal Road. I was going to put it on Royal Road. I was thinking about that, but then it's just not feasible. I need to generate money for this. I need support for this, and I have a Ko-fi account if you want to support me or help me to keep producing these books. On one of them, I've got a campaign going for turning the Jungle Planet into an audiobook. I don't have the funds. I might have in the past, but I don't do it. It's been such a tough year that I don't have the money. I have no money. Like I'm barely getting by in some payments and stuff this year, which is hard to say and hard to experience, especially when you've got a family to take care of, and it's just hard for me. And I'm the face of a struggling author. I really am. I'm trying to get my books noticed, and it's hard when you've got so much competition out there, so many people fronting their books in front of yours, so many people that have more economic stability with putting stuff out there. How they're getting all this advertising, how they're getting all this stuff, I just don't get it. I've done all the marketing. I've done all the stuff I can for free. There's been a few times I've tried to do it on the monetary thing, and I wish I could go back and stop that. I mean, I put your services required onto a major, I guess, review site, and I wish I hadn't, but I wanted to see I was doing it as an experiment to see what would happen. And what I found out was like they just generalized my book, and that was it. And then they sent me tons of ads to come and try out all their different product or whatever. And I feel like a fool for doing it in the first place. But I was just curious. I wanted to see what would happen when I did it, and now I know. I'm going to stress to all authors out there, do not pay for a review. Do not. I did it once just as a lark. And then there was Indie Reader, which was good. I did get some good reviews, and they were favorable. The Indie Reader is just in their review. I'm just having a hard time with the whole paying for them to find reviewers, and I said, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm just not. To me, that seems. I'm just not going to do it anymore. I don't see the viability in it. I'm on BookFunnel, and I'm on Prolific Works, and what more can I do? I mean, other than I've been on Discord, I've been pushing my books on some of those reader areas, and I hope some of them do look into my books, but a lot of fantasy. There's been a lot of fantasy right now. The fantasy contest is ramping up again. So interest in anything science fiction has just gone out the window. Now for Professor Darkk and Shadow, I could push that, but it's more of a horror and thriller genre, not a fantasy, because they don't deal on any of that, unless I do a fantasy type story. But for the most part, this is where I'm at. This is who I am. This is me. And I know I've made some videos without showing my face. mainly because I'm uncomfortable showing my face as I'm talking to you. And if you haven't noticed right now, I'm generally someone that's better behind the camera than in front. I don't like putting myself out there too much, but this is who I am. And I don't edit. Like everybody else edits their videos, tries to put some quirky in there and flashy stuff. I have no idea how to do that stuff. I'm just an author doing what I'm doing. And as to the novels on audio, I can't edit my own stuff either. And I can't pay someone to edit if I tried to do a audio book on my own. I just don't have it in me to do that because I wouldn't know how to begin to do that unless, and then the whole issue of the AI and the ChatGPT and all that stuff's going on right now, and there's a whole whack of people that are just so against it that some guy that had his cover done with an AI, he got chewed out for doing it, and it wasn't even him; it was the guy he hired to make the cover. Now that I have an issue with. If you hire somebody to do that for you and they're doing it through an AI generation, that's bad because that was an artist you were supposed to hire. That was an artist that you paid for the service, even though they didn't probably pay for their own artwork there. So I have an issue with that. Now, if you have a cover that was generated by AI and that was you're a self-published author, I have no qualms about that. I really don't, because later on, if the book becomes successful, you can get someone to change the cover and get an artist to redo the cover, and maybe they'll do it better. But for now, I don't mind that self-publishers have these generated covers. They just need something quick, something they can throw on, get out there, done. So long as they mention in the books that that's what it was. I'm trying my best to get information on there. I've even put in my books. I've started putting in my books that that this is not an AI, that this is a real person that's writing it, and that I do not support the ChatGPT, and that I do not support AI scanning works of fiction that are copyrighted and using their themes and stylings to create something. And I put that in my books now so that people understand that I'm not a supporter of that stuff. I may have some AI generated covers, but I may change them just because I need to. Art cover creation is hard and inexpensive. So I can't fault someone for trying to cheap out on that. But when it comes to actual writing, of actual knowledge to page, I do not like it when the AI completely writes the book for you, all of it. It's counterproductive. It's to me that means it's laziness. That you couldn't think of the story yourself, or you couldn't be bothered to write the entire story out. And one guy got offended because he said that he says, you took a lot to prompt that. It took a lot to tell the AI exactly the context of the story and how many pages. And I thought, oh, boo-hoo. People actually sit down and have to, think hard about what this character is going to say, about how they're going to be, what's their motivation, and here you are, you're putting in just a few words to the computer to let it know, and it'll look for other things, and you'll just end up going, yeah, that's good, I'll take that. I don't believe in that. I don't like that. As an artist too, if you were an artist and you were doing AI, and you called it your own, that to me seems problematic. I don't know. But like I said, I have worked in the art field. I have worked as a graphic designer at one time. So I know the problematics of the AI art generation. Now, that being said, in that way, it's also kind of like where graphic arts was going. Um, when they started doing the art on the computers, there was a big thing, and not a whole lot of people know this. A lot of people think that, oh, it's just on the computer. That's artwork because they're drawing on there. And I said, yeah, but it was different. It was a different and new medium that a lot of them didn't like. A lot of graphic artists back in the day did not like using the computer for art generation. A lot of them preferred the art to paper and brush and paint, and they didn't even consider digital art a worthy, because somebody made an art, digital art alone on a computer, and there was a whole brouhaha about um, is that considered art because it's a digital form, it's not real. And that's the problem with what's happening now. It's come to that decision again of like, hey, that's not real, it's not going to be accepted. And I said there's got to be a way to limit this, if you will, to what is considered the AI and human interaction. I don't mind if the AI guides. I don't mind if the AI is part of the human thought process. It's just that you need to control just how much is the AI and how much is you. That's why I said when it comes to book writing, that requires a lot more thought in that. And when you start asking the computer to search books to come up with characters that you think are going to be original, they're not going to be original. They're scanning those and bringing those in bit by bit. Humans do that too, but in a way that we understand the process better than an AI. AI will just grab something, slap it on there. A human tends to manipulate, tends to reword, tends to reshape a character in a new way. So that becomes the argument. Like, how is that different from what they're doing on ChatGPT, and how is that different from an artist, mimicking a Monet? So there's the argument for that, and the other argument for that. But I think in the long run, it's going to be an interesting time, that's for sure. And I don't think we should be too judgmental on authors that, do not know that they're being victimized by their covers. It takes a lot to research that, and you should research the company or the artist that's working on these covers and question things. And when you see a book that's been readily put out, like say an author is consistent year after year after year, like if they're cranking out books every month, there's something up there, because I think that's a telltale sign that they're using something else other than their own mind to create it. Either like AI or ghostwriter AI. But I think we need to have better control, and there needs to be some sort of confirmation that, hey, I wrote this, a computer didn't write this for me. And that's all it takes, really. And like I said, you can't be judgmental of a self-published author who throws on a cover that's been generated. Like I said, down the road, if the book becomes successful for the book and not the art, absolutely. They could change the cover, get a real artist to do it, and there you go. But I wouldn't fault, like if it was a traditional publisher and they had that, ooh, yeah, that's a big no-no, because they're a company that deals with this on a daily basis and should not be using a computer to create things for them. Which, that's the catch-22 of it all, because it's just, where do you stop? Where do you, who do you believe, kind of like thing. And that's where everything's going. It's a blurred line coming. And I've been saying it in my books. I said, and then your services required that the AIs they just totally took over, and humanity was put beneath them, but in a way that didn't seem like it, because the AI is so intelligent. They didn't dismiss humanity; they just kept them reasonably controlled. And I think that's where we're heading. The AI has started to progress rapidly, more so than anybody thought. And really, I mean, Google, come on. When they start talking to each other in their own language, you really gotta think that through. And even the guy that created the AI program for Google, he was saying, "Look, this is progressing way too fast, and we got to stop it right now." And I think that's true. I think you got to keep the artificial intelligence at a level that is not going to launch beyond a humans, because once you go there, that's it. We're done. Um, so that was my chat about that. So getting back on to Professor Darkk and his shadow, I really hope people will enjoy the book for its half part. Um, there's a lot in there. There's a lot in there. Uh, and the way I've written it is the way I've written it. I'm going to do some editing and have an editor come on and change some things up, and we'll see how it goes. But I mean, I can't pay an editor, so I may get somebody I know to help out. But for the time being, I said this is how I'm going. I have to do it this way. There's just no other way. So the Burning Man rises. Burning Man. The Burning Fire Rises is the name of the first official book of Professor Darkk and his Shadow. It'll be part 1, and then there'll be part 2 later on. I'll get to part 2 when and if I can. I do have a few chapters in there all ready for it, so don't think I'm not working on it. I am. It's just it takes time to gradually get up to that finale. There's a lot going on, so I have to crank it in there. Whether or not it'll be shorter, I don't know. As it stands right now, the first half is about 57,000 words. So that's a novel length, in a way. It's considered novel, so technically that's your novel. Now that may dwindle down as I start to edit it and start to get in there. It might come to about 49 or 50. That's my rough estimate of when the editing process happens. But it could stay hovered around the 50,000 word mark. So that's pretty good, actually. If I get into 80,000, I don't know. It's been a gradual thing with my books. I've gotten up to 300 pages in one book, The Jungle Planet. And it's been a gradual thing. I've been building up. And that's the thing. When you're with me, you're progressing with me. You're seeing my work go steadily up, 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 up every time I'm working on it. So it's a journey for you, and it's a journey for me. And I really hope that you go and read my books, give me reviews, give me some feedback. I need your feedback. I need the reviews, for one thing. Go and read Professor Darkk and Miss Shadow Book 0, the short story collection, and get a advanced notion of who they are and what they do, and give it a review so that I know what you think of this book and what you think of these characters. I won't be able to do audio for them for a while unless I sacrifice. I'm trying to do Arrow Through Space, and I'm sacrificing my rights to it with the narrator, if I can find a suitable one to do a voice. So far, I haven't found any, And I mean, there've been guys that have been posting it, and um, they're good for what they do, but it's not what I'm looking for. Um, and unfortunately, I can't pay for someone to do it, which is why I'm having to sacrifice. I don't mind doing it for the shorter stories, but I won't do it for a full novel. I want full rights to the novel, and I want to maintain my rights for it, because that is a book that I want to keep as my own. I don't want to sacrifice my rights to something that belongs to me. Um, Audio, I won't have any control, because the producer that has it will have the full say in whether or not I can update or move it or whatever. That happened on a few of my other books. Outer Red, parts 1 and 2, uh, and Professor Darkk, 1 and 2, the two short stories. I had to give up rights for those, and they've moved it themselves. They asked that they could move it themselves, and they have. And they've even put on different covers, so now there's confusion about what this book is, because I've got two different covers um, out floating out there for my audiobooks on other audiobook channels. So it's strange to me that, you know, I have no say in that part. I can't have any say in what their cover should look like. And when I saw what the covers were, I said, looks nothing what I wanted. And I couldn't tell them, hey, the covers look like crap. You know, like there's one with the haunted house on Henry Street, where it's clearly two different actors in a house, and I'm just like, that looks nothing like my characters. That looks nothing like, I wouldn't even know what that story entails. It's two half faces and a building, and it's like, I don't get it. And but yet the audio does well. Actually, the haunted house on Henry Street is probably more revered than most of the other ones. So I can't be too angry at it, but at the same time, I wish I had more control over what the cover should look like. And I was a little miffed that they took liberties on the cover, that they didn't ask whether or not I would want a cover, but they did it themselves because they have ownership of some of that stuff, which kind of ticks me off. And that's the problem with doing it that way. But what are you going to do, right? Like, if you don't have the money to do it, and this is the only way you can do it, that's what you got to sacrifice. So let that be a learning lesson for anybody that's thinking about doing it. Any author that wants to give up their full rights, and I've seen a discussion on there on Discord, and I said there's good sides and bad sides to it. That's totally on you if you want to do it that way. Me, I wouldn't do it. But I have to. In some instances, I have to. Now, I'm glad that it was only parts here and there, because eventually I will redo the book as its entirety, shortness, into an audiobook when and if I can, because at least I'll have full ownership of that. And that's how you can get around that. Collection books, if you do short stories here and there on the audio, and yet you want to do an entire book, put it into an entire book, and then redo it as a collection of short stories. So that works. And but for a full novel, that's a sacrifice I just can't give. I need the rights to it. I need all the royalties for it. So that's where I stand on that. And that's coming to the end of what I'm talking about here. I want to bring this out as a half book. And I apologize if anybody thought I was going to do an entire novel right through. I apologize, but I need to get at least something out there. because I'm just swamped with other stuff, and lately my mental health hasn't been the best of late. So I'm trying to get a handle of that too. Um, I just I'm just trying to do the best I can, and I'm only human. And I just wish people would be more sympathetic to the cause. But this is where I am. This is who I am. And like my books, hate my books, either way, get my books noticed. I just need more support, and I need more reviews, and I need more people to buy my books. And I am giving you my heartfelt plea, if you will, that I would love to see the support from you, from the reviewers, from anyone that can and will uh, help. And I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to get emotional about this because uh, I just don't. And that's why I never come on here like this, because it's hard for me to do it like this. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that. I thank you very much for your support, for those who have bought the books and enjoyed them, and for those who have reviewed them. I thank you tenfold. And for those who are in the author community that have been supportive, and I'm supporting your efforts as well. Together, we are doing great things as self-publishers and indie authors. So, to you, I say thank you very much, and until the next time, this has been Jeff Walker.